Setting up the displays. Getting started. Checking hardware setup. Step 1. Plug in your projector smartboard cord, it'll be a VGA, HDMI cord, etc., to your laptop. Step 2. Plug in the power cord for the monitor to an electrical outlet and your monitor cord, which will be a VGA, HDMI, or USB-C cord, etc., to your laptop. Step 3. Power the projector and monitor on. The monitor power button is located underneath the bottom right corner. After you've completed the steps in that specified order, you are now ready to identify your displays in display settings. Accessing your display settings. There are two ways to get to the display settings, either from the search bar in the bottom left-hand corner of your computer or from your desktop. So option number 1, click the Start button, click Settings, click on System, and you'll be in the Display section. Option 2 is your desktop shortcut. So you can right-click on an open space of the desktop and select Display Settings. Identifying display settings. The computer will automatically be paired with either the monitor or your smartboard. You will have to determine which one is paired with your computer. Once you are in the display settings, click on Identify. Each of the screens, your computer, monitor, and smartboard, will have an identifying number. Look for a number in a black box in the bottom left-hand corner of each screen to determine the number associated with each device. Your computer will always be number 1. Your monitor and smartboard will be either 2 or 3. After you select Identify, the numbers will stay on the screen for a few seconds. Select Identify again to repeat the displaying of numbers. Look at the smartboard and the monitor to see which one has the same identifying numbers as the computer. This indicates which display is paired with the computer. Assigning multiple display settings. The smartboard will be the main screen used to duplicate and project what is on your computer to students in the classroom and to students who are joining virtually. Option 1. If the smartboard is labeled number 2, select Duplicate Desktop on 1 and 2. Note, screen number 3 should automatically extend and be showing on your monitor. Option number 2. If the smartboard is labeled number 3, you can select Duplicate Desktop on 1 and 3. Note, screen number 2 should then automatically extend and be showing on your monitor. Option number 3. If you do not have either of those previous two options, you may need to select any of the offered options in the drop-down menu of multiple displays in order to separate your displays out. Then, if you see that your smartboard is labeled number 2, under multiple display settings in the drop-down menu, you can select Duplicate Desktop on 1 and 2. Or, if your smartboard is labeled number 3, under multiple displays, you can select Duplicate Desktop on 1 and 3. Then, click on Keep Changes. Arranging display settings. You can change the arrangement of your screens digitally to reflect the physical arrangement of your room. For example, if your smartboard is to the left of your computer and your monitor is to the right, you will want your display settings to be aligned in that same order. To adjust the arrangement, click on the screen in the window and drag it to the corresponding side. Then click Apply.
Overview of the blended model layout. The district has been planning for different return models with safety, flexibility, and equity, serving as the guiding principles throughout the decision-making process. The Wissahickon School District Secondary Blended Model was designed to provide flexibility for interaction between the in-person and virtual learners while maintaining the integrity of the district's instructional program. A primary goal of this blended model is to offer an equitable, engaging experience whether students are in person or learning remotely. We want students that are in the virtual setting to feel like they're still part of the classroom community as they listen to teachers and classmates, participate in class discussions, and collaborate in small groups. The shift to a blended model will allow teachers to interact with in-person and remote learners at the same time, and all students will have opportunities to communicate, collaborate, and learn with each other. Virtual learners will continue to access and attend each class using the pre-established Microsoft Teams classes. The district has purchased 27-inch monitors which will integrate with the teacher laptop, Microsoft Teams, and the smartboard to assist teachers in being able to work with two groups of learners concurrently, the in-person learners and the remote learners. In the blended model, remote learners will be logging on to Microsoft Teams and joining the classes Meet Now as their in-person classmates are entering the physical classroom. The addition of the monitor will allow the classroom teacher to see and interact with those learning remotely, while also interacting with in-person learners. There are two primary avenues to help connect remote learners with what is happening in the classroom: showing content through sharing your computer screen or sharing in-class demonstrations through the computer camera. When teacher content is shared through a computer, the in-person students will see the lesson projected on the smartboard. While displaying content from the computer to the smartboard, remote learners can see the content through Teams when the teacher shares their computer screen and utilizes the screen share option on the Teams toolbar. Teachers may also share video with both in-person and remote learners simultaneously. It is important to note that the teacher will need to first select the screen share option from the Teams toolbar, select Share Desktop or Window, as well as include computer sound before starting the video. While the smartboard will be the primary focal point for instruction, it will not be the only one. Teachers can continue to offer live demonstrations in their classrooms for both in-person and remote learners. It will be important to determine the best location for these demonstrations that provide all in-person learners with a clear view while maintaining social distancing. Teachers can share the in-class demonstration with remote learners using the computer camera. When utilizing the camera, be sure to adjust the computer lid to optimize the view for all remote learners. To ensure all remote learners see the demonstration in full screen, the teacher will need to use the Spotlight feature found in the Participants pane. To locate the Spotlight feature, click on the three dots next to your name and select Spotlight. Please note the Spotlight feature can be used to enlarge any member of the Teams call. If in-person learners need a closer view of a demonstration than what is allowed with social distancing in the classroom, they may join the Teams Meet Now along with their remote classmates. It's important to note that in-person learners viewing the demonstration through Teams will need to mute their microphones and turn off computer speakers to avoid feedback. Eventually, if the teacher feels comfortable with the blended model, they may choose to allow remote or in-person learners to share content from their computers with the entire class as well.
Practice navigating the technology in the blended classroom. In order to experience the integration of the computer, smartboard, monitor, and Microsoft Teams from the vantage point of the teacher, the in-person learners, and the remote learners, you will work within your department to create groups of 4 with your colleagues. Create a new team or use a practice team you may have created during the August professional development days. Add your colleagues as members of the team. Assign roles to each member of the group. One group member will assume the role of the teacher using your actual classroom, and you will complete the steps to practice. 2 group members will assume the role of in-person learners and will stay in the same room with the teacher. The 4th group member will assume the role of the remote learner and join the class through Microsoft Teams in a different classroom. All members will take a turn to assume the role of the teacher, the in-person learners, and the remote learner, and to complete the steps to practice. This will allow all group members to understand the experience for all of those involved in the blended model. When assuming the role of the teacher, group members representing the teacher and in-person learners will need to move to the teacher's classroom so as not to share computers and technical equipment. In advance, members of the group should have ready-to-go samples of instructional material regularly used in the classroom, such as, but not limited to, PowerPoint slides, OneNote or class notebook files or collaborative documents, Smart Notebook files, video clips or recorded demonstrations, in-class demonstration materials, for example, science lab equipment. Steps to practice when in the teacher role. Share a PowerPoint or Smart Notebook file using the Smartboard and Microsoft Teams with in-person and remote learners. Write on the Smartboard. Share a video, including audio, using Smartboard and Microsoft Teams with both in-person and remote learners. Share an in-class demonstration or activity with the computer camera using the Spotlight feature in Teams. Ask the in-person and remote learners a question or ask them to speak to test the audio in the classroom setting.